Look, in my mind, for cricket, the chances of cricket becoming one of the main sports in the US, I don't think that's possible. Yeah, I'd never go against Australia. Just knowing,
Yeah.
even we've seen in the past things even coming into the last couple of tournaments that they've played hasn't been perfect preparation. Then somehow they just find to galvanise together and get across the line. And it is superhuman. His mental energy stores and his engagement in every ball that he's involved in. Majority of people, majority of cricketers, they'll have they'll be on for periods of time for like a few games in a row or maybe a season. But to be able to maintain that energy and intense being in the moment for your career like Virat has, it's superhuman.
So for all of you who are watching this, Shane Watson is a World Cup winner. He's been Australia's all-rounder for a generation, and also an MVP of the IPL. So you're quite suited to write a book that's called The Winner's Mindset. So welcome, Shane, and great to have you here. Welcome to the week.
Yeah, you're very kind. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so I want to start off with saying that there have been a lot of former cricketers who've written books, but not to name any names. Some of them tend to be about how great they were. But yours book seems like you have a message, strong message, and you really wanted to get through and help young cricketers. So why do you write?
Yeah, look, I certainly wasn't. I never had in my mind that I was going to be involved in writing an autobiography or something like that, sort of talking about my career. And I've always sort of been the way that I want to try and pass on as much information that I've been so fortunate to learn throughout my life so far, to be able to help others to make their journey that little bit easier. And this information, the mental skills information, was just again, this was part of my journey throughout my life, where I got a chance to meet the mental skills guru from the US, who I ended up, I was at a stage in my life where I was desperate for this type of information, and then to be able to be taught it, and then be able to really understand it deeply and implement it into my playing days as well, and then learn how to teach it, was just something that I always wanted to do, is to be able to write this book, which is an education book around how to be able to get the very best out of yourself from an understanding the mental side of you as a human being, to be able to
Yeah.
then just access all the skills that you work so tirelessly for, to be able to have access to them when you really need to perform. So I just felt this is an easier way to be able to get this information out to as many people as possible, is to get it in a book form. So, yeah, and the feedback that I've got on it so far has been, I suppose, as I hoped, which is helping
Yeah.
people along their journey.
Yeah. So I also wanted to talk about you having this great clarity of thought in your writing, in the sense that I want to bring up the example of the A and B factors that you mentioned. So
Mhm.
A being the controllables and B being the
Mm.
uncontrollables. So for our listeners, would you like to elaborate on that a bit more?
Yeah, so this is all around the performance equation, which for me was very profound. Once I deeply understood this performance equation, and how to get the best results that you possibly can, there's a huge weight that was lifted off my shoulders. So the performance equation is A times B equals results. And the A in the equation is the things that you are in control of. It's the skills that you've got right there and then. It's your fitness. Um, it's your mental energy stores. It's your health. It's also how committed you are right there and then, what your preparation is like, and then also it's what you're focused on in the moment as well, because you are in control of your thoughts. So those A factors are the things you're in control of, and trying to bring that very best A that you can, and making that A better all the time, is how you continue to get your skills better and better. The B factors are the factors that are out of your control. So I'll give from a cricket perspective is like getting a bad umpiring decision, or on the other side is getting a really good umpiring decision. Whether it's a catch is a drop, you're batting and someone drops a really easy catch, or someone takes an amazing catch. So for the B factors, there's two sides to it. There's a positive side and the negative side, and these are the things that are out of our control. We have to like prepare, and plan for the potential negative Bs, the Bs that might arise, just to be able to give ourselves the best chance of stepping through it and not having a huge impact on the result. But those B factors, it was like for me, it was an epiphany because once I understood that I always believed that A equals results. If I worked hard enough, if I developed my skills enough, if I prepared and brought the best version of me, then that should guarantee me results. But we all know when we actually take a little step back, we know that even if we bring the best that we can, the best performance that we can to anything that we're going into, there are some factors that could get in the way that are totally out of your control that then has an impact on the result. So by understanding these B's that are in they're out of our control, then it means that even though we wish we could, we can't control results because this equation is fundamentally true. So if we can't control the bees, then we can't control results. But we spend so much time worrying about the results. We're so obsessed about results because obviously society is all around results. But the fundamental truth of the performance equation is, well, for me to get the best results that I possibly can, I need to bring the very best aid, all the things that I'm in control of. I need to bring the very best A's that I possibly can, not knowing what the potential B factors might be. And then, which means if I bring the best A that I can, then the results will be the best that they possibly can be in that moment in time.
Yeah, well said. And I also wanted to talk to you in particular about Cameron Green. So while you were coming through, there was this immense pressure on you as this all-rounder with great promise. And now he seems to be the next candidate in line. So I saw a picture of you with him on social media holding up your book. So has he come to you for advice, especially regarding this all-rounder thing?
Yeah, so we've been in constant conversations and catch-ups over the last couple of years or so, because obviously I'm a huge fan of Cameron Green. I'm in awe of the skill that he's got at such a young age. Someone who can bowl. He's a tall man. He's 6'6". He bowls very good pace, swings the ball both ways, and's a proper technically correct batter as well. And then he's got power, as we've seen when he needs to as well. So I just wanted to be able to help him in any way that I possibly can along his journey to make his journey that bit easier and better. And there's no question one of the things that he's continued to work on and evolve is the mental side of his game. He's a very quick learner and he's always trying to look for things to be able to make him better. And just continuing to reiterate to him around just like letting go of the result, which we're all just so desperate for. And obviously that's what's made him as good as what he is right now because of his desperation to be as good as he can. But we've seen so many times when he's been at his very best, whether that's in the IPL, whether that's for the Mumbai Indians or the RCB, and for Australia, is when he has let go of the result and just let his incredible talent just take over and that freedom of his mind. So it's a really is a privilege to be in this position now where I can help young cricketers coming through to be able to help them along the way in ways that I didn't have that information at that moment in time. I had a lot of other incredible mentors and information that I was exposed to from a young age, being involved in Australian cricket when there were so many world cricket legends playing in the Australian team. But this mental skills side of things wasn't really there at all. So to be able to have that information now to pass it on to as many people as possible, that's where I see my mission in life, really.
Yeah. And one thing he has achieved is become one of the best gully fielders of this generation
Oh
already.
yeah.
You do talk about social media in your book, and I wanted to bring up the point that yes, you said that it depletes mental energy, but especially for an Indian player, there's a lot of toxicity online. So
Mm.
uh, even more so than I would assume other countries. So how do you block out that noise?
Yeah, and that's part of scrolling through social media. It's not just the stimulation of it. It's also you're a high profile person as well, and you see some negative comments. That's when your mind starts to really go on overdrive, and you start to think and worry about the things that are being potentially said online. And my advice is never check the comments, never read that information because you don't need to expose yourself to that because in the end, all that matters is exactly where you're at. and what you're doing to be the best that you can and navigating your way through that. Have your support network around you to help you on your journey. So you've got also people who around you who are going to be honest with you and well as well, not just sort of like keep building you up when you actually need some to be redirected because you might be going down the wrong path. But outside of that, all this other noise that's around and people who've got no idea about you. They don't know the things you're going through. They don't know the lengths that you're going to be as good as you possibly can. You do not need any comments at all to be able to infiltrate your mind, especially from a negative perspective, because then that just starts to get in your way of you being the best that you possibly can. So my recommendations always is you can check social media, use it in a way that it's beneficial, but absolutely stay away. And the easiest way to stay away from the downside of social media is just to not read the comments at all. Totally stay away from that. It takes discipline, but it means that you're going to just get the upside and not the downside to it, that it gets in the way of you being the best version of you.
Yeah. You also talk about the importance of having a captain that who inspires trust and confidence. So you
Mm.
say took Ricky Ponting's example. You played under him for years.
Mm.
I also wanted to know about the two IPL captains. You played under MS and Virat. I mean, from the
Mm.
outside, it seems like they have completely contrasting personalities, like fire and
Mm.
ice. But what is their mindset like?
MS Dhoni, he's very much obviously we see yes, everyone sees him on the field. He's very cool, calm, and collected. He doesn't show much emotion at all. He is very much around being process driven. He just knows these mental skills just intuitively. He's just developed them by just assessing the world around him from a young age, and just knows that that's the best way to get the best out of people. And that's the skill of MS Dhoni is his awareness of the world around him and his ability to be able to just pick up what's the right thing. And he just innately just has those skills. So that was very special to be able to work with him. And Stephen Fleming as a leader, as the coach of CSK, absolutely is built out of that, is cut out of that same cloth as well. They're the same type of people. So it just that's the environment that's always created in CSK. With Virat Kohli, the thing that I just love the most about Virat Kohli is his insatiable appetite to be engaged in every moment of every game that he's ever played. And it is superhuman. His mental energy stores and his engagement in every ball that he's involved in. Majority of people, majority of cricketers, they'll have they'll be on for periods of time for like a few games in a row or maybe a season. But to be able to maintain that energy and intense being in the moment for your career like Virat has, it's superhuman, and and that's what he expects of everyone else as well. Which
Yeah.
it's high standards because his bar is set so unbelievably high because it's superhuman what he's able to do.
Yeah.
Then the challenge is when he's around people who just don't have those superhuman skills to be able to manage in and around that team environment. So that was always
Yeah.
something I found fascinating because, as I said, Virat's just he's superhuman in what he's able to do, and that's the reason why he's been able to be so good for so long and will continue to be until the day he hangs his boots up.
Yeah. So I also wanted to talk to you about another IPL captain. Now, you haven't talked about him in the book, but I want to talk to you about KL Rahul. We saw him in the 2018 season with Punjab Kings. He was totally in flow state and seemed like he was playing like the youngsters are doing now. But now, with additional responsibility, perhaps as a captain, do you think it's a mental barrier? Because we all know that he can play that way.
For me, it's only a mental skill thing that he just needs to. He's got it there. We've seen it so many times when he actually just when he really lets himself go, when he's got no fear. He's batting he's batting with a fearless mindset. We've seen it, and that's the thing that I played with KO Roll in 2016 at RCB when he burst onto the scene really and played a number of amazing innings when he was batting with no fear. And then and I've always been a huge fan of him because I just love. He's a beautiful batter to watch when he's on song. Um, but then I've seen him over the years. Just yes, he scored a lot of runs in the IPL, but he hasn't scored them. He hasn't been the match winner that he can be by scoring quicker. because if he and you can see as soon as he just flicks a switch in his own mind to go, okay, now it's my time to be fearless, then he does things that most batters dream of doing because of his array of shots all around the ground, his incredible skill that he's got. So for me, the biggest thing with KL Rahul, and I think the light bulb at some stage will really go off to go, you know what? No more of this sort of just like in T20 cricket I'm talking about. Obviously, one day in Test cricket is different because you need to be more patient. You need to assess the situation and bat accordingly. But in T20 cricket, as soon as the switch is flicked and he just goes, you know what? From now on, I'm just going out with no fear. Every time, every innings that I play, he will absolutely shoot the lights out. Because of the skills that he's got, there's a really good chance he will score 600 runs in an IPL season at a strike rate of 180, 190 because of the immense batting skill that he's got. So, but it's only in his mind. It's only he's got those skills there, but he's got to trust himself to let himself go and be fearless. And then in my mind, he'll be straight back in the Indian T20 team. He'll then just win games consistently for the teams he plays. And even if he gets 60 off 25 balls, the game changes and the game's just about won.
So I also like the simplicity with which you explain things, especially the part about the brain being a muscle and it
Mm.
has only a limited amount of energy every day. So could you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, that's something that I didn't understand that concept at all up until I learned this information. And I learned this information after I retired from Test cricket. And this concept is around understanding that your brain is like a muscle. So you've only got a certain amount of mental energy every single day. And as soon as you burn through that mental energy, as soon as your stores are low, then your ability to be able to your decision making is significantly reduced. And I'll talk from a batting perspective. You go from being really concise with your reactions, the ball coming down, to then all of a sudden feeling really sluggish. It's like your decision making stuck in the mud and you're trying to plow through the mud because your mental energy stores are really low. And that's a one thing that I didn't understand. One, how to conserve my mental energy stores, like from the moment I wake up all the way through, but then also in the lead up to a game, how to conserve my mental energy stores by not overthinking situations, not continually going, okay, I need to score runs in this game. Like it's a big series, it's a big game. Who am I coming up against? And continuing that sort of treadmill that I was always on. And then obviously in game as well, I was always focused at the wrong times. I was focused as the ball's coming down, but then when I didn't need to be switched on like that, I was still on and I'd burn through my mental energy. And that is that was one of my biggest challenges that I faced. That I just didn't know how to be able to manage that by having a technique to be able to pull my mind back to put it on neutral. Um, and that is probably the biggest issue that I see with cricketers now is them managing their mental energy stores. As soon as I personally work with them and they understand how to conserve and manage their mental energy stores, their performances continue to go up and stay high because they're managing their mental energy. Because in the past, majority of people are shocking at managing it. They just allow themselves to think, they allow themselves to worry, they allow themselves to overthink situations. And then when they actually need all their mental energy, when they need to perform, the energy stores are super low. And then their decision making is super slow and not accurate. So that for me is one of the most powerful things in the actual book and the information I learned. That's one of the most powerful skills that I learned out of all these incredible skills.
Yeah. There's also this interesting anecdote in the book about how Glenn Mendra and Mikey Clark used to have a song in their head, and you two
Mm,
did towards the end of your career. And I remember Sachin Tendulkar in an interview saying that Virendra Sehwag used to do the same thing.
mm,
And
yeah.
he just, I mean, he wasn't articulating it as such, but he used to tell Sachin that you just leave me alone. I'm in my zone, and I know what to do. But if I don't sing that song, a lot of thoughts are creeping in.
Yes.
And you also said, talked about Sir Viv and his chewing gum, and some others focusing on the breathing. So with Sehwag, he had a lot of Hindi songs in his head. What genre were you concentrating on?
Oh gosh, my genre, it would go between rock music and country, which is quite quite different. But for me, it just depended on the music that I was listening to at that moment in time, which would be the sort of catchy song that I'd always like go to. But everyone, and this is not just for cricket performance, this is for performance in general for us as human beings. We have to have and define our own anchor that we pull ourselves back to. And the anchor I mean is when you listen into your mind and you know that you're starting the wrong information, the wrong thoughts are starting to come in, then you have to move your mind to your anchor, like what Verinda Sehwag did. He just knew that if he didn't have that singing that song, then there'll be too many thoughts and the wrong thoughts would come in. So by having your mind on your anchor, if it's a song, then nothing else can come in. The wrong thoughts can't come in. And that for me, understanding that skill was so powerful for my performances in my cricket, but also for life now. I know if I'm starting listening and I'm starting to overthink situations, I put a song into my head because that's my easiest way just to pull myself back to the present. And so not only does it sustain your mental energy by putting your mind on neutral, but it also means that it's a way to be able to just pull yourself back on task when you need to. And whether that is a song in your head, and you mentioned whether that's your chewing gum that Sir Viv did, or your breathing, which Alan Border did, was going back to his breath. Then you've absolutely got to understand what your anchor is for you because it's an incredible technique to be able to just pull yourself back to the present, and it has a huge advantage over for performance as well. So you've just got the right thoughts in your mind at the right time, not letting the wrong thoughts infiltrate your mind and sabotage your own performance.
Yeah. Also, now that I have you here, I'd also like to ask you a couple of questions about the T20 World Cup. So,
Yeah.
first of all, how do you see this conservative nature in team selection? At least, particularly talking about Jake Fraser-McCurk and Abhishek Sharma not being in the squads.
Mm. Yeah, look, it is a tough one for both Australia and India, knowing that they've got super experienced players who it's most probably going to be their last tournament, their last ICC tournament potentially. Someone like for Australia, Dave Warner. This is going to be his last ICC event. It's going to be his last tournament for Australia. So really, in the end, it would be between Jake Fraser-McGurk and Dave Warner to be able to get picked in the squad and to play. And look, for everything that Dave Warner's done for Australian cricket, obviously the performance that he's had in big tournaments, then obviously they've gone down just knowing it's going to be one more tournament. And then once that tournament's done, then Jake Fraser-McGurk will then hopefully play for Australia doing his incredible things for the next 10 or 15 years. And I see the same situation with someone like Abhishek Sharma, for example. You've got Rohit Sharma, you've got Virat Kohli, who have been incredible for India, but knowing they've just got this most probably going to be one of their last tournaments for Indian ICC events, then and they might even in T20 cricket, they might then after this T20 World Cup, then just move on to this new generation of the way that batters bat, which we've seen with Abhishek Sharma, which is just mind blowing. This stuff that these guys are doing nowadays. It you think about this 10 years ago, you'd be no way this would anyone come in and bat like that and bat consistently like that as well. And now it's happening. So for me, it wouldn't surprise me if for Indian cricket after this T20 World Cup, then there's a changing of the guard and players like Abhishek Sharma come in, and then because of the incredible skill that he's got, then he'll have 10, 15 years of dominating world bowling attacks.
Yeah. Also, looking forward now, this particular event is being co-hosted by US, and this is not a traditional cricket market. It's outside the Commonwealth, and though they have had a history like long ago, they don't really watch the sport. So, do you think this could be an inflection point in the growth of cricket, especially using T20 as a vehicle, or do you think those markets are still insulated?
Look, just knowing through my experience, even coaching in the Major League Cricket last season as well, is there is a huge South Indian population in the US, and there is a big undercurrent of cricket that is in the US. Look, in my mind, for cricket the chances of cricket becoming one of the main sports in the US, I don't think that's possible because it's like the main sports in the US. It's a fabric of of society for the last 100 years or so, whether it's baseball, NFL, and basketball in particular. But because of the expat community and the South Asian communities that are in and around the US, then absolutely, it's there's an undercurrent. It's going to continue to grow. The more opportunity there is for young US with the heritage of being South Asian, who they've grown up sort of loving cricket. And now there's going to be more and more cricket that's available. There's going to be more facilities. So there's no doubt, and that's where everyone around the world of cricket know that there's such a huge potential for growth in the US market because of the South Asian community in particular that have just loved the game of cricket, but the facilities and the opportunities to be able to actually really play the game haven't been as available. But now with this influx of cricket into the US especially, and there's a huge push and a big investment going into facilities and competitions as well, that within ten years or so, I think there's certainly going to be a lot of, I believe there's going to be a lot of good cricketers that come out of the US and a lot of people continuing to watch the game as well.
Yeah. So last question, Shane. So do you see any team popping out, or is it going to be a lot of teams play well and then Australia eventually wins?
Yeah, um, look, yeah, I'd never go against Australia. Just knowing,
Yeah.
even we've seen in the past things, even coming into the last couple of tournaments that they've played, hasn't been perfect preparation. Then somehow they just find to galvanise together and get across the line, and that happened in the last World Cup as one day World Cup. So yeah, I'd never go against Australia. So they certainly would be the favourites, even in the type of conditions that they're most probably going to get in the Caribbean and the US. Look, India, of course, are always going to be so because they've just got such a ridiculous um, depth of talent and T20 talent that's going to be on display, and the potential conditions are going to be in the Caribbean as well. The other teams that should really have a great tournament is the West Indies. Their white ball cricket hasn't been great in the last couple of years, but even with Andre Russell coming back and seeing Nicholas Pooran in form and Shimron Hetmeyer, they have some serious firepower. So there's no reason why them at home shouldn't be really one of the standouts as well.
Yeah. So that's it. Thank you for your time, Shane. And I hope you keep coaching and you keep writing. So thank you. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it. It's great to chat to you.